Hey guys, what's up? It's Lindsay with Insane Home Fat Loss. Today, I want to talk to you about some hormone stuff. It might be a little science, but the most important thing to know and why this is important for you to listen to is that hormones directly affect our fat loss goals, always. And if your hormones aren't right, then you aren't losing any fat. While you may be thinking there's only 1 or 2 hormones in our body that would affect fat loss, there are actually 7 hormones in our body that affect fat loss. Many of these hormones in our bodies are controlled by what we eat and what exercises we're doing, and so when they're not in tune with our bodies, what we're eating and what we're doing, they start bouncing around, and this equals nothing but a big fat gain for you. Bad news. The first hormone that you need to start getting in check with is insulin. Insulin is something that is released basically anytime we have glucose going into our system. Glucose is pretty much any type of carb going into your system. That's what affects insulin. The key thing about insulin that's important to your bodies is that when it comes to your workouts, insulin is going to be one of the key hormones in your body because it's going to be responsible for delivering the energy from the carbs and sending it to your muscles and getting the nutrients to your muscles to quickly recover them. The thing about glucose is that once our muscles are actually full of them, they have all the nutrients they need, glucose is then shuttled to the rest of our bodies and it's stored in as fat. So going in, if we know that glucose is basically anything from carbs. If you eat way too many carbs one day and your muscles kind of take in all the carbs they need for the muscle recovery after your workouts, but then the rest of that basically sits on your body and goes to different places as breaking down the fat, essentially. As you can imagine, all this fat storing up in different places on our body is going to halt our fat loss process. So in order to fix that problem, we need to balance the hormone out. The way we can do that is making sure that we get the correct insulin spikes in our system. Well, that may be hard for you to think of, but instead of just eating so many carbs, you can balance it out by eating a simple protein with a carb at all of your meals, and then your insulin will not spike as much and not as much fat will be stored at the end of the day. What do you need to do to keep insulin balanced? Simple. Eat protein with every meal. Our next most important hormone is glycogen. Glycogen is also something that's separated out within our pancreas and it's delivered to the rest of our body in an effort to raise our glucose levels. This hormone is actually opposite from insulin in the fact of instead of storing carbs into our bodies, it actually breaks them down and it uses those carbs for energy to deliver that to the rest of our body. As we talked about with insulin though, another big thing here is that too many carbs equals a bad thing in our body. So if we have too many carbs, our glycogen levels aren't able to use them all in the amount of time for energy, and instead those get stored as fat. So what do you need to do? It's simple. You need to eat a high protein, low carb diet to balance out this hormone. Our third hormone is adiponectin. While it's definitely hard to say, adiponectin is actually another important hormone that is used based off of our overall body fat. This hormone is great because it's the one that actually uses the carbs for the energy, it burns fat, boosts your metabolic rate, and increases the rate by which your body burns fat. It also has an appetite suppressing effect. Basically, if your lean muscle is low and your body fat is high, your adiponectin will also be low. However, if your lean muscle is high and your body fat is low, your adiponectin is also going to be high. So, in order to increase adiponectin, you simply need to lift more weights and shift your body composition around to have more lean muscle mass instead of fat. What do you need to do? You need to make sure that you're doing high intensity workouts with little to no rest periods in all of your workouts. Our next important hormone is also known as the full hormone. Leptin is actually the hormone that is sent to our brains telling us we're full, and it's triggered by our fat cells. Basically, the more fat that you have on your body, the more leptin you'll have within your body, which may sound good to you, but again, moderation is key with everything. So having too much leptin can actually be a pretty bad thing. The problem with having too much of this hormone is that an overload of it can actually cause our brains to, what's the best way of saying this? Our brain will basically become numb to leptin. It won't respond to the increase in leptin because there's so much of it overwhelming our body. So what this means is that our brains stop telling us when we're full. As you can imagine, if you continually eat and you don't have that signal that, oh, that's enough, then you're going to continually gain fat. Our secret remedy with leptin is to jack up that metabolism. So make sure that you're regulating your meals, you're eating clean, and you're throwing in the occasional cheat meal. What do you need to do to control your leptin? You need to eat small meals, and this is going to involve fighting some hunger pains that are coming up in your body. Fortunately, you're going to have to ignore them. Over 2 weeks, your body will adjust and you'll start burning more fat. Your body fat will change, and then this hormone will start responding correctly and telling you that you're not hungry anymore. Now that you've learned about the full hormone, it's now to learn about our fifth most important hormone, which is the hungry hormone. Ghrelin, our next most important hormone, is opposite to leptin in the fact that it signals our brain that we're hungry when we have empty stomachs. If you want to lose weight, then you want less ghrelin so that you're not as hungry all the time, or at least so you don't feel as hungry all the time. However, if you want to gain muscle and you need to eat more, then you want more ghrelin in your system to constantly signal you that you are hungry. The unfortunate thing about ghrelin is that this hormone never actually goes away. So when you're on a diet plan and you're trying to eat less, it's always going to be signaling that you're hungry, and unfortunately that's not really going to change in the coming months, I'm going to be honest. The hormone's just always existing in our body, and what you can do about it is try to elevate the hormone by doing workouts every day or doing an intense workout, and that'll lower the actual hormone and you won't feel as hungry. What do you need to do if you want to burn fat and lower your ghrelin? Then you need to do high intensity workouts with low rest periods. And if you're one of those people who's trying to put on that muscle and bulk up, then in other words, you want your ghrelin to be telling your body you're hungry all the time so that you're constantly eating. Our sixth most important hormone is cortisol. Cortisol is actually one of the hormones that I found in my own research with my body that I've suffered from horrible levels of my cortisol being imbalanced. This hormone is actually controlled by our stress. That's why they always say if you're stressing, you're gonna gain weight. It's so true. If your cortisol levels are out of whack or they're not seeming right, you're going to know it. This is gonna be one of the first things that I caught on to whenever I knew that I might have some hormone imbalances in my body. If you have some cortisol issues, you're gonna be noticing lack of sleep, you're not recovering from your workout as well, you're going to have an increase in your appetite, but worst of all, you are going to have a rapid increase of your body fat. What do you need to do? You need to get rid of stress. All stress needs to be kicked out of your life permanently. So, I like to get rid of stress. I mean, you can pick up a hobby, you can go play basketball, go for a swim. I love to do yoga. I've also taken up meditation. Trust me, I've done all of these things to cut stress completely out of my life and level out my own cortisol levels and get back to normal with losing fat. Our seventh and last most important hormone is norepinephrine. I'm going to tell you it is the most important hormone to our fat burning process. I love this hormone because it cranks up our fat burning metabolism and allows our bodies to break down that fat and get it off of us at an amplified, outrageous rate. One of the key ways to release norepinephrine into our system is to get our adrenaline pumping through an intense workout. However, if you can't get to the gym or you're just going to be way too busy today for your workout, then you can also supplement and get norepinephrine pumping through caffeine intake or simple green tea intake. What do you need to do? You need to just get your blood pumping through a super intense workout. That's your call to action here to get this hormone going through your whole body and burning off that fat in no time at all. Or seriously though, if you want to get a parachute or go bungee jumping, again, it's going to get your adrenaline pumping. So good luck there. There you have it, guys. I hope it wasn't too much science for you, but I do want you to understand how hormones affect our fat loss goals. As you can imagine, the workouts we're doing, the things that we're eating, everything affects how our bodies react. And so when our bodies aren't balanced inside, they're not going to be burning fat outside. That's why it's important to dive in here, take a little lesson, and just remember your simple call to actions and you'll be good to go. So for more awesome nutrition tips and insane workouts, visit me again on insanehomefatloss.com. Thanks, guys.